Okay, so my paper is Humans, the Product of Evolution or Devolution. And the central theme or issue in my paper is humans have this thought process that we're superior to everything, and there's kind of two questions that come off from that, and it's one of them is this true? And the second one is artificial intelligence, could they have the power to undermine our superiority? And my introduction, so it was too long to read the whole thing, so I'm just going to do the thesis and the layout. So my thesis is the creation of artificial intelligence challenges the idea that humans are the pinnacle of evolution. And then the layout is, this can be shown by looking at how we may not be the strongest, smartest, or happiest species to either ever exist or continue to exist. And the 3 points here, the strongest, smartest, and happiest, those are kind of the ways that I looked at how artificial intelligence may have more of that than we do, and that's kind of their way of undermining our superiority. So, my first paragraph was strength paired with intelligence. What this means is that there's a lot of other species that are stronger than us. Like, this isn't a new thought, it's just the thought that they have intelligence paired with it, which is kind of a dangerous thing, and no other species has that, but artificial intelligence has the opportunity to have that. You can kind of see that in two stories in I, Robot. You can see it in Little Lost Robot and Runaround, where both of these, the robot can injure the human, it's just the one little law is holding them back from it. But if they have their own intelligence, they could seriously injure the human in both these stories. So, my second point is intelligence greater than humans. So this is kind of the main idea that freaks people out. It's what if we create something that we can no longer control, or something that doesn't need us to operate? That's when I think we should draw the line. And the big story that has this is Escape, where the robot is able to make its own decision and fly those two humans without anyone even knowing about it. And the quote that kind of shows this is, "He took care of you and kept you safe, but you couldn't handle any controls because they weren't for you, just for the humorous brain." And then another story that has a different kind of turn on this is De-Evolution, which kind of shows how there's a slight possibility that we aren't the most intelligent and that there are other beings that we just don't know about yet that actually are smarter than us and that are way more intelligent, and we're just kind of there. We're just kind of like before they got to that point. So that's kind of interesting. And then my third point is happiness and or capability for emotion. They kind of like, happiness is the more specific thing, but that's kind of a relative term, so it's hard to define. So there's kind of 3 points that lead to where I'm going. And the first one is that humans like to match intelligence with happiness. You can see that in like Flowers for Algernon, where he has a really low intelligence and people think he's just sad all the time, when that's not the case for himself. And then I think that's why we like to say that we are so happy and like we are capable of emotion, because we're so intelligent. But it doesn't match up the happiness and intelligence part. So I said that like we are also the only species to destroy each other and our own planet. And the fact that artificial intelligence, if they got to a point where they could have this emotion, but not with the destruction, that's something that we don't even know what that feels like anymore. So, in conclusion, I have a quote from the article that we read online that kind of summarizes it all well. So, although it's currently mostly being used in retail to figure out who is more likely to buy, say, a certain sweater, there are also test programs that attempt to figure out who might be more likely to get a certain disease or even commit a crime. And this kind of like sums up my point of view that although they're dangerous and artificial intelligence has the power to undermine us, if it's used in the right way, it could be life-saving. It's just we have to closely monitor and make sure that we're careful about it and they're not going to surpass us. And so this leads me to my last thing. These are just kind of like my personal thoughts. And kind of what I said before, that like I do believe that we should use artificial intelligence. I just have two kind of issues with it. And the first one is that if artificial intelligence has the opportunity to take jobs away from real humans who are doing those jobs, I feel like that could create a problem. And then my second issue is just, it's kind of a scary thought that they could surpass us. So, yeah, that's about it.